Okay, this message is a little bit spicy. It's on the spicier side. So, if you are not in a space where you are interested in receiving a message that has to do with your sexuality, your sensuality, your erotic power, and the effect that that is having on people, maybe come back to this video when you are in the mood. But if you are in the mood, I have a message for you. I channeled this message last night. I took some notes. I'll be looking at my screen to refer to those notes. As always, please use your discernment. Really tap in and check in with yourself and your own energy, and make sure that you are not trying to make this channeled message or any channeled message that you encounter fit for you if it doesn't actually feel aligned. So if it feels aligned, if you're feeling my energy and you want to stick around and you want to get into this message, welcome. I'm so happy that you're here. And the message that I have for you from Spirit is that you are safe to be sexy. Let that just sink in for a moment before we go too much further. You are safe to be sexy. You can be sexy and be safe. This feels important before we get into the rest of what came up, because if this is resonating for you, you might be a person who in the past didn't quite know how to trust that you could embody your sensuality, your erotic power, your sex appeal, and also move through the world safely. And maybe you have had some experiences of sexual harm. I certainly have. I am a survivor of sexual violence. And so, if that's also you, it might be the case that it has felt difficult for you over time to trust that you can be safe and protected in this world while fully embodying that energy. You may have done your best to veil or shield, um, to really hide that part of yourself. And I'm holding so much compassion for you. I know what a painful experience that is to move through. And I'm also here to say that I'm really, really proud of all the healing work that you've done, because that work is what's actually creating a sense of internal safety for you. And it's that internal safety that allows you to move through the world trusting that you can be in your power and be safe. When I say that you're safe to be sexy, I don't mean that you have to start performing anything other than who you are, right? I don't mean that now you have to start dressing differently or walking differently or um, speaking differently. I don't mean any of that. We get a lot of really weird conditioning about what it means to be sexy in this world. But the message that I received from Spirit is that the sexiest thing is authenticity. You being exactly who you came here to be in this life, in the body that you're in, and the expression of source that you are here to radiate. That is the sexiest thing about you. That's what people feel when they meet you. They feel that you are actually embodying and expressing exactly who you came here to be. And that's also something that's developed for you over time. You spent a lot of time masking, shielding, performing, attempting to fit in, wondering why it felt like no matter how hard you tried, you couldn't quite ever measure up to those normative standards. And you finally figured out that those normative standards are bullshit. They're made up. They're not real. The only thing that is real is what we as humans respond to in one another, and that is authenticity. Your sexiness is your authenticity, and that is the energy that you are safe to move in now. You're here to be authentically sexy. You're not here to be a version of sexiness that can be packaged and bought and sold. You're not here to perform a version of sexiness that maps onto what the market deems desirable. You're here to be fully you, and in that, to be incredibly, incredibly sexy. And I think you're starting to feel that. I think you're starting to notice that people are responding to you differently than maybe what you're used to. And it might feel a little uncomfortable. It might feel like you're a little bit out of your depth, but this is your message from spirit to say that you are safe to be noticeable in that way. You're safe to be a person that people feel in that way. One of the messages that came through, I'm giggling a little bit because, even for me, talking about this topic can feel a little uncomfortable. And so I'm also trying to trust my own ability to be safe to not just embody this energy, but also to channel messages that are related to it. But what I heard from spirit was that you have to understand that people do think about sex with you. I know. It's true. You are a person who really does ignite that energy in other people. And in the past, you receiving this message, someone telling you, hey, you realize that people are attracted to you, people are drawn to you, people actually imagine what sex with you would be like. It might have felt off putting, but here you are, having done all of the healing work that you've done, existing in a body that is now open in a new way. And from this place of openness, I hope you can receive that fact, that truth. It just is, it's the truth. People do think about that with you, and that can feel safe, that can feel okay, that actually doesn't have to be a problem. And what Source said to me was, you can, and in fact, you are encouraged to do this. You can ward your name. If you don't know what that means, you can look up more information on that, but you can ward your name and your image. You can make sure that you are intentionally declaring safety and protection around your name, around your image, around your body. You can make sure that you are regularly cleansing your own energy, and you can explicitly ask for protection from your spirit team, from your ancestors. You can ask to be protected from anyone who would, either knowingly or unknowingly, attempt any kind of physical or spiritual attack on you that would use sex as the vehicle for harm or for violence of any kind. You can absolutely practice this. You can be really intentional about that. And I think because you are carrying such potent energy that people feel, it's really important that you practice it and that you are doing those things not from a place of fear, right? that you're practicing this kind of energetic hygiene, not because you are afraid that if you don't, something bad will happen to you. You're practicing this so that you can get in the habit of being in co creation with the energies of spirit and your ancestors and angels and guides. You can be in co creation with them. You can be an active participant in your own energetic protection and hygiene. And if you're doing that, it then allows you to practice trusting that it's okay and it's safe, that people find you sexy, people think about sex with you. Here's the thing about you. You might not think about sex, conceive of sex. You might not fantasize about it or desire it in the same way that a lot of people do. It might feel a little different for you. You're someone who maybe isn't fantasizing about sex as much as you are experiencing the energy of love as life force. You're experiencing that erotic power that really generates creation on this planet. You experience that energy moving through you, and you know that you can channel and express that energy with yourself and with other people. But for you, it really is about the energy. It's much less about the act of sex itself and much more about how that act connects you in a really embodied way to that energy that you know is what really powers creation and the universe. And that's not to say that thinking about sex explicitly is bad. It's not. And in fact, we'll get into this a little bit later in the message, but I think it's really important that those of us who are on a spiritual path, that we also really allow ourselves to be fully human. And sex is a part of being human, regardless of what your relationship is to it, whether you're someone who is highly sexual, whether you're someone who is demisexual or asexual, whether you are monogamous, polyamorous, whether you're queer, whether you're hetero, whatever the case may be, we all have our own relationship to sexuality in this lifetime. And to bypass that or negate that doesn't actually make us more spiritual. We'll get into that a little bit later. But um, you are aware that maybe your relationship to sex is a little different than it is for a lot of people, but you're also becoming aware of just how much of that energy is actually moving through you, just how much of that very potent power and life force actually lives within you in a way that people can really feel. You have reached a point where you can really feel that energy internally inside of you. You feel yourself, the way that I heard it was, you feel yourself becoming more and more turned on by being you. You actually feel turned on by your life, turned on by what it is to be you. And other people can sense this and be drawn to it, right? You can also make sure that you are trusting your discernment. That energy is so potent and so powerful. And there are going to be times where you might sense that you're in an environment where you might need to cloak or veil that energy a little bit, where you might need to mask it in some way for the sake of your external or relational safety. And you can always trust that. But now you know the difference between that discernment and fear of being seen, fear of being visible, fear of being seen as attractive. And you're moving out of that fear and into a place of internal safety with really strong discernment. And that's a very powerful combination. You're trusting this erotic power more and more inside of you, and that's creating a stronger sense of internal safety. I said this a little bit earlier, but I'm looking at my notes and I want to come back to this point. You being sexy is never about you trying to present or perform yourself in accordance with societal conditioning or normative standards. But you do get to play around with those standards and those ways in which we've been conditioned. You get to like fuck around with those. You get to be creative with them. You get to really pick and choose what combination of those things does or doesn't feel like you in any given moment, right? Maybe you feel really sexy. Um, I'm using myself as an example right now. Maybe you feel really sexy when you keep your nails really long, the way that I've been keeping my nails long lately. And then maybe that changes and you feel sexier with short nails. Maybe you feel hella sexy with long hair. Maybe you feel your sexiest with short hair. All of those things, you really get to just have fun with it. You can be all of the things that we are taught are conventionally attractive. You can be none of those things. You can map onto all of those norms. You can map onto none of them. You can be all of it and none of it all at once. And that can change, that can shift, that can be fluid, that can be different depending on the relational context or the environment that you're in or what internal cycles you're moving through. And this ability to be really creative with that, to really play around with how you present yourself, to really tap into um, the magic and the power of being able to shape shift at your own whims and desires in ways that feel good to you and make you feel sexy. That kind of power, when you find that, that's an experience of liberation in the body. And liberation is very fucking sexy. So the more that you allow yourself to play with all of those things, to let it be fun, to let it feel juicy and delightful, to pick and choose how you do or don't want to show up in ways that feel recognizable to the status quo, have fun with that and let it allow you to feel free because the freer you feel, the sexier you are. I'm looking at my notes again, and this is taking us back to something that's already come up. The way that my brain works, right? It's pretty circular, it's not linear. Um, People have a lot of opinions in spiritual spaces about whether or not sex is a part of the spiritual path. And what I've received from spirit around this, again, you are free to believe whatever works for you. You are free to take what resonates around this and to leave what doesn't. This is not prescriptive in any way. This is just what I've received around this. There's no one way. The way that is authentic to you and your embodiment, the way that is actually an expression of your true essence and your path in this lifetime, the relationship to sex that really is aligned with your peace and your pleasure, that is the way for you when it comes to sex. And so there is no one outside of you who can tell you what that should or should not be for you. You'll hear a lot of people saying that celibacy is a more spiritual way of living. And Maybe it is for people for whom celibacy is a part of their path. But celibacy is not holy if it's not actually aligned for you. And on the flip side, you will hear people say that living a liberated life, living an authentic life, being really embodied and being on your spiritual path in this lifetime means having to be open to sex with lots of people and having zero attachment or making no meaning of that. And that is holy and sacred for people for whom that is authentic for them. But no one can tell you what that is for you. A very super sexual life or a celibate life, both can be very sacred and very spiritual if they are for you. And both can be the opposite. Both can actually hinder your awakening and your growth if they are not for you. And wherever you fall in between, however that shifts and changes over the course of your lifetime, as long as you are aware that the choices you are making around that are actually coming from you and not coming from anyone outside of you that you think knows better than you, then you are on the path. That feels really important to name whenever we're talking about sex in any kind of a spiritual space. The other thing that came up that Spirit wanted to say very clearly is that you are magnetic. And the thing about magnets is that they attract and they repel. It's both. Your safety to be sexy, your safety to be attractive and desirable, and to have people drawn to you in that way. On the flip side, it is also safety to not be liked, to not be desired, to not be deemed attractive. And you can allow all of this. You can actually begin to enjoy when someone is repelled by you just as much as you enjoy when they are drawn to you. That both of those experiences are safe. Both of them come with the territory of being a magnetic, sexy person. And what happens then, Spirit tells me, is that you start to be able to transmute other people's disapproval or rejection of you into your pleasure. It's almost like you reach a point where you are being so you that what's not for you, what's not aligned, is repelled by you and will literally like eject itself from your field, and you actually enjoy that process when it happens. Like, oh, okay, that means I'm really being me. I'm being me so much that what's not for me is literally repelled and doesn't want anything to do with me, and that's a good thing. That's a powerful position. That's a pleasurable experience. And that which is drawn to you, those whom are drawn to you, they are actually interested in you. You can actually trust that they are actually seeking you and desiring you and not the performance, not the mask, not who you thought you had to be in order to be chosen. And that's power. That's power from the inside out, not power as domination or power over others, but that is sovereignty over yourself. And that's true power. That's true power. And with great power, Spirit says, with great power comes great accountability. Accountability to yourself, accountability to your truth, to your discernment and your internal compass when it comes to how you navigate sexuality, how you navigate attraction and desire. When you are carrying this much potent erotic power, you must carry that power with great accountability, accountability to yourself and your own discernment and compass, and great accountability to others. To not abuse this power in the way that we see so many people abusing this power. And this is a bit of an aside, maybe, but it's just coming to me in the moment. Sometimes it's easier for people to completely cut something out of their lives than it is for them to learn how to engage with it in a way that really requires this kind of deep accountability work that we've just named. And so, in the case of sex, there are some people who might say that they're celibate and that's a more spiritual path. And maybe for them it is, like we said. And maybe for some folks, what's actually happening is that it feels easier for them to cut sex out of their lives completely than it does for them to trust themselves to navigate sex from a place of accountability. It's like, so I am not straight and I am also not monogamous, but it's like when heterosexual monogamous people might say, "Oh, I don't have friends of the opposite gender," if we're talking about a binary, which we all know is not real. Um, they might say, "Yeah, I don't have friends of the opposite gender." And in so doing that, in cutting out of their lives completely any kind of contact with people of the gender to which they are attracted, they never actually have to do the work of learning how to be in the practice of relating with accountability. And this is kind of getting into my overall stance and thoughts on monogamy and non-monogamy, and maybe I will get into that in another video. But to get back on track with this message, Spirit really wants you to enjoy. Enjoy how you are living your way into this era of a more liberated embodiment. Enjoy how your experience of your own sexiness, your own erotic power is a large part of that. And allow for pleasure in the discovery of this power, moment to moment and step by step. You are not being asked to rush into any big changes when it comes to how you navigate this. You are not being asked to know how to do this perfectly right right away. Spirit is asking you to really slow this down. And Spirit actually said, like, the slower it goes, the better it feels, which felt like very spicy to me, the way that I received it. I was like, okay, Spirit, wow. Like, the slower you go, the better it feels. So take that as it resonates. Um, but no, yeah, no rushing into big changes. No pressure to get this right. Going slow. It actually helps to calibrate your nervous system to really be able to feel safe, to be in this kind of pleasurable experience of your own sexual energy. And practicing this, it's not actually about you having to get better at being sexy and trusting that that is safe for you. It is actually about restoring and reorienting toward a capacity that was always within you, that life experiences, trauma, conditioning forced you to suppress, to hide. And now as you are in this new era of actually learning what it feels like to feel safe in your own body and your own power, now this energy that's always been there just has space to move, to actually move through you more and more. So let it be fun. Let it be play. Let yourself be creative and let yourself explore and discover step by step along the way. I think that's it for this message. I hope it resonated. I hope it feels supportive for you. I am really excited for the journey that you're on. And if you feel like you could use some support around this, around what it really feels like to settle into internal safety when it comes to how you are sexy in this world, reach out to me. You'll find info in the description below for how you can contact me and how we can get into some one on one work. This is work that I love doing with people as a part of my relational coaching practice, and I would be so happy to support you in that way. I will be back soon with more channeled messages from Spirit. And in the meantime, take good care and enjoy being sexy. I love you, and we'll talk soon.